shadowy figures stalking rural backroads? From towering wolf-like creatures emerging from the tree line? These sightings have left witnesses shaken, speechless, and forever changed. Don't forget to subscribe, and let's take a look.
That is definitely not a terrifying sound.
Well, this was in 2019, as from asking my wife. And I was driving home from work. I work in Richmond, and I was on my way to Jackson. And when I got right about halfway in between, right after Stanton, come around the corner, pulled off to the side of the road because I saw something walking, standing up. It was very, very tall, ape-like, arms swayed. But when I pulled off to the side of the road and it kind of looked back at me, I could tell that it had a muzzle. It looked more like a bear than anything else, wolf or anything like that. It looked back at me, and when it come back around, it took off like a jaguar, just floating across the grass, just as quick as I've ever seen anything. And it was gone in probably 3 or 4 seconds.
How far away was it from you?
It was probably about 150 yards away.
And you stopped your car. Did you get out of the car or did you stay in the car?
No, I didn't get out of the car.
Stayed.
As soon as it was gone, I was on the phone with my wife. I was shook because it scared the crap out of me. It really did. It was huge.
And what makes you think it was not a bear or not a person?
Well, I'm from Harlan County. I've seen countless black bears. I go with my grandfather on four-wheelers and look for them. I know what they look like. It was not a bear. And I've seen cats too, and I know what the cats look like, and it wasn't some form of that either.
Mm-hmm.
It was tall. It swayed when it walked. Its arms moved, and when it took off like a panther gait, where 2 feet, 2 arms were hitting at one time, and it just flew across the grass.
So when you first saw it, was it walking upright?
Yes, away from me. Yes, and arms swaying.
It was walking on 2 legs at first.
Mm-hmm.
How long did it walk on 2 legs?
It was 2 or 3 seconds. Once I pulled off to the side of the road, I think it heard me.
And what color was it?
Brown, dark brown. Almost, you could almost say black, but it was definitely brown. Yes. Like a really, really dark chocolate brown.
Now, when I first talked to you on the phone, you mentioned something about the body. Mm-hmm. Can you describe the body again?
Well, the body was very muscular, like a bodybuilder. Like it could rip you apart if you wanted it. But it was huge. And then it went down into, and it was definitely a humanish. It walked like a bear doesn't walk like that. It walked, right. 100%.
Could you see anything else, like a tail or ears?
No, I didn't.
No. And when it ran away, you said it was fast.
Very fast, like a cheetah.
Like a cheetah.
Yeah.
And where did it go when it ran?
Straight to the woods. It was out in front of us.
Okay. I'm trying to think of any other questions that I might have. Did you sorry, there's an ATV.
Yeah.
We are in Kentucky, so we have ATVs everywhere. Who did you tell right after you saw it?
I got on the phone with my wife.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I've told one other person, and that was a guy I work with. And I only told him after he started talking to me about some of the stuff that he has heard and seen. And he's huge into this. And he sent me tons of podcasts afterwards. And my wife has always been really into it, and I've always been the kind of person that's like, okay, whatever, all right. I was never the person that was, yeah, they're out there or whatever. No, I am now.
Yeah, I can see why. Now the muzzle. I know this is a great distance. Can you guess how big the muzzle was?
It was about the same. It wasn't very, very long. It was more like a bear muzzle. It was a little shorter, but it was still there. It was definitely there.
Right. And the body, you keep talking like it was humanoid. Could you see shoulders or the
Oh
leg?
yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. The whole thing swayed when it walked.
Mm-hmm.
The arms was moving, swayed. You could tell if it's what I would imagine somebody in an ape suit, or a very muscular person in an ape suit looks like.
And how long were the arms?
They went farther down than ours would. They were huge. I know they were huge.
Yeah. And the legs were, describe the legs.
Very, very, very muscular.
Yeah.
I don't know if you've ever seen Game of Thrones, but kind of like the Mountain. If you've seen the Mountain on Game of Thrones,
right.
How big he is,
Yeah.
just muscular all the way down.
Yeah,
that's what it was like.
So this had to be pretty significant for you to stop your car and look at it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm used to, if you see deer on the side of the road, I'm a hunter. If you see deer on the side of the road, you see bear on the side of the road, you kind of pull off and you look at them. Mm-hmm. You try to, if you can, you're not disturbing them or something like that. So I thought at first that this was a bear, like a bear standing up. And I was like, oh man, they're already over here, because I've been in Harlan County and they've been there for years. Mm-hmm. And when I pulled over and it was walking, I instantly knew that it wasn't a bear. And I was just kind of shocked. It was kind of struck dumb for a minute. And then when I pulled over and looked away and it took off, I was scared, because it was fast. Yeah. Fast.
And the hair, do you recall how long the hair was?
No, it was shaggy like a bear, not really, really long. It looked more like a dog, like a bear or a dog.
Short haired.
Yeah.
But again, very muscular, shoulders, long arms.
Yep.
Not big and fat like a bear.
Nope.
Walking on two legs, which bears don't typically walk too far on two legs. This was walking at first, which is odd. And then it looked back at you. I wish I had that sighting. Yeah, it might have been a dogman.
Yeah.
More than a Bigfoot, because Bigfoot have prognatheism. It's a little bit, but if you saw a muzzle at that distance, it kind of fits the dogman category.
It does sound like it. Do you think it saw you?
Oh yeah, that's why it ran. I think it was fine until I pulled off, and maybe the rumble strip or whatever, but it definitely it heard me, turned around, looked at me, and then took off. It didn't wait long enough to actually check and see what I was, but it saw me and took off. Right. Yeah.
Do you think you might have locked eyes with it?
No.
Too far away.
Yeah, and I'm inside my car, and it's daylight. Yeah, there's no way.
And then there's another incident. You're in the gorge with your family, and it was a rock throwing incident. Yeah. Can you describe what happened?
It's like this one. I know, because we had a 1-year-old at the time, and it was our first. It was about 14 years ago. We're walking out, and where we're walking on the trail, there's some cliffs in front of you that you can go, and when you're out on them, you can look back and see the actual the rock, the bridge itself, and then come back. Well, on the way there, we felt a presence, but more than that, we had rocks thrown at us. And when I walked away, my wife was back a little bit. She actually had like a bigger rock thrown at her, and she kind of hollered at me to hold up. And we went out there for just a little while, and then we turned around and went back, because it felt like that we weren't out there by ourselves, and the parking lot was empty. There was no other car there.
And your wife had your daughter on her back.
On her back, yeah.
And she was here earlier, and she mentioned she kind of thought that because she had the daughter in the back, it was like a warning not to get too close to the edge.
Yeah.
Like maybe it was protecting you in this case.
Yeah, that's kind of what I felt too. It's like, hey, get the baby away from the cliff. You don't need to be over there. Yeah.
Yeah, I know the area you're talking about. There's no
There's no
cliffs.
guardrail.
There's nothing above you either where rocks could roll down.
No,
because I know where you're talking.
no, it's flat.
So it had to be thrown because there's nothing above you. Because I know
Absolutely.
exactly where you were. So that's odd that rocks would be thrown. We have other incidents of rock throwing in the gorge as well.
As I come around the curve and my headlights pick up on the other side of a tree, there is this huge, hairy, slender-made creature. If you want to call it a Bigfoot, then that may be what it was. But its arms reached, like its fingertips almost reached to its knees. It looked like it had gray fur. Keep in mind, I'm going around a curve. So this happens in like a few seconds. As far as facial features, I couldn't tell you. This was full dark. I had my headlights on, and my headlights caught this thing standing on the other side of the tree. I never saw it walk. It didn't walk. So when I saw it, my daughter was in the passenger seat. I slammed on the brakes, and I said, "There it is. There it is." I knew, like I thought back to when I was 16, like I knew I seen something. So I told my daughter, "There's Bigfoot. That's Bigfoot." And I said, "Can you see it? Can you see it?" And she's like, "No, what? Where?" So I put the truck in reverse, and I'm looking out the back window, and my daughter's looking out the back window. And I said, "Do you see it? Do you see it?" Now, its eyes did look like it was glowing red, but I don't think that that's something supernatural. I think it was a reflection of my taillights. I think that was a reflection of my taillights in its eyes, but it never moved.
My first experience took place in the latter part of the 80s, about 88, 89. It happened in Missouri, in Greene County, Missouri, not very close to James River. It happened about the latter part of May, early part of June. It was on a evening where some friends of mine were dorking around that afternoon, and this was back when I was 20 stupid. I don't know if you ever been 20 stupid, but I was. And there was we were dorking around one afternoon, playing ball or whatever. We decided, we heard that there might be a kegger at this place called the Old Resort, which is by James River. Now, that area where we went to was very underdeveloped at the time. And of course, we're talking almost 35, 40 years ago. The Old Resort was a abandoned old hunting resort or lodge that was away from the main road a good mile and a half. You followed this trail, or what used to be an old driveway, through the forest, and that trail or driveway, if you will, was elevated like 2 feet above the forest floor. And that later will be an important thing to remember as I tell the story. So we went out there. It was going on, being that it was the end of, it was, mid to late June. It was going on at like 7:30, 8:30, So, it was getting dark, but it was, good sunlight still. And we couldn't see anybody out there. And the reason why we liked this place, one, it was in the middle of the woods. None of the buildings were there. It was just all rubble, except for a in-ground old swimming pool, which was fantastic because you can build a bonfire and have a grand old time. But we didn't see any evidence of anybody was there. And so we came to the conclusion they either got busted up by the county officials, or someone just wasn't able to pony up for the keg. So we looked around a little bit, nothing. By the time that we headed back, it was right at dusk. right when the sun has pretty much gone below the horizon, but you still had sunlight. So, saying that, the west was to our right, and we were headed due south. And as we were walking along, the number of guys that was there was 8. And we all loaded up in a friend of mine named Scott's old Volkswagen van, went over there, unloaded, went and explored, nothing. And all of us were headed back there. But we broke up in different, groups as we walked up. There was like 3 guys in the front, there was 2 guys in the back, and then there was the group that I was with, which consisted of a guy named Gene, myself, and a guy named Mike. Now, Gene was bigger than I was. He was 6'6", and looked like something the NFL should have grabbed hold of. And I'm 6'3" and not exactly a petite flower myself. And then there was Mike, who was just barely 6 foot. As the groups of people that walked along each other were probably separated anywhere between 100 and 150 feet. So we weren't exactly, walking in one big kumbaya group. And as we were going along, this odor, this smell, this funk just sort of fell upon us. It just enveloped us. It was like a green fog. It was just really bad. And Gene goes, "Ron, what is that smell?" I said, "Dude, I don't know, but it's about to make me sick." We kept on walking along, and all of a sudden, Gene stops dead in his track, and he looks over to his right, towards the west, and he sees a tree like 30 feet away with the sunset in the background. And behind that tree, and I look over there, and behind this tree, and it wasn't a big tree. It had the width of a telephone pole. But behind that tree was, I couldn't make out the face, but it had the conical head, the broad shoulders. I could even make out the fur, in the background, with the sunlight in the background, and somewhat of a hand. And it was doing this back and forth behind the tree. At the time, I thought it was, in a way sort of comical, because it reminded me of those old cartoons where a hippopotamus would try to hide behind a telephone pole. But he was just like this, doing this number. And just, huge figure. I look behind me, no, those guys were accounted for. I look in front of us, no, they're there too. At that point, Gene goes, "I can't handle this." And he takes off running. Well, being that he was the biggest one out of a bunch of us, I sure wasn't going to stick around, so I took off running too. And we had to jump over the log that was in front of us, and we hit that ground, and we didn't stop until we got to that van. We passed the guys in front of us. We were in no way. We just took off running. And we didn't stop until we got the van. Well, when the other guys caught up with us, and we caught our breath, we explained to them what we saw, what we experienced. And even back when I was that age, I sort of had a, skeptical mind, and I tried to analyze this. I'm like, okay, maybe the smell we smelled was like, fermented vomit or something. Because let's face it, we've been out there, people's been out there before and drank, and or something dead, And maybe what we really saw was like a cedar tree swaying in the wind, although I did not recall the wind at the time. So Scott and I, the driver of the vehicle, we went, he took his keys, back. And I know that we were there, I know where to look for and what to look for because of that log we had to jump over that was crossing the trail. When we returned, there was no smell, and there was no cedar tree, or really not much of anything except for the horizon behind that tree that we were focusing on. We came back, and this haunted me for years. I mean, you know, I mean, it even affected my dreams. Anytime something came up in my life that, you know, was something change or unknown, that, you know, like a new job or just something, I would have a dream of this figure in the horizon, looking back and forth. Mm-hmm. Years later, I talked to a primalologist, and I told him about this swaying back and forth, or actually I told her, and she was like, I didn't tell her what. I said, what is it about a primate doing this back and forth? And she goes, it's very common, especially amongst the apes, chimpanzees, what have you, that when they feel like they're agitated and they're that you are in their area, they do the little, you know, like, and express to you that they're being agitated. And I said, what about a smell? Not that uncommon, especially amongst the males, that they will release a pheromone scent to let you know that you're in a place you don't need to be, you know, in their bubble. Yeah. And then it just occurred to me after, you know, years of being a researcher and investigating and sort of studying, you know, how these things react. A Bigfoot doesn't always, when it makes a contact like that to you, they're doing it on purpose. I honestly believe that the one that was in front of us was a distraction from whatever his family pod was behind us in order to get to safety unseen. And that basically, that was my Class A first experience.
Did you estimate the height of it, or
I'm glad you asked.
Or the distance, how far away it was?
Well, let's go with the height first. If you remember at the beginning of my story, I told you that path we were on was 2 feet elevated from the first floor, correct? Mm-hmm. Rough estimate, and if memory serves, Gene was 6'6", correct? That thing was the same height as Gene, and Gene was 2 feet elevated.
Right.
So, rough estimate, probably 8'6".
Yeah. And how far was it from you?
I estimated maybe 30 feet.
Oh, that's real close.
Yeah.
And it was still light out.
Just enough sunlight to, you know, be able to see. I mean, it wasn't dark as sin, but it was darkish.
Yeah.
You know, it's sort of like that period of time in the summertime when it's still daylight. I mean, you know, there's still enough daylight to see the yard, but you start seeing the fireflies.
Yeah, like twilight.
Right.
That's called.
Twilight.
Right, dusk. Could you make out any other details of it?
Could not make a whole lot out of the facial details. I did see, you know, where it had what I thought was a hand, or could be the hand, around that tree. Like I said, about the size of a telephone pole. and it was grasping it. I wouldn't say, holding it like a broomstick, but it was grasping it. So it was a very large hand, and when it was doing this and that, doing that number.
Could you tell what color it was?
No, it was too dark. I don't think it was pitch black, but like I said, the lighting, and being that it had its back with whatever daylight was left back in front of us, it was just one step above for being a soliloquy.
Okay. And you can tell it was covered in hair?
Oh yeah, because we were close enough to it. Even then, in the whatever light was out there, you could see the fur.
Yeah. And then when you guys left, you said you went back later though?
We went back right after.
And
me and another guy.
Any smells, any sightings? Gone. Everything was gone.
Everything was gone when we went back.
Did you go up to the spot where it stood?
No.
No.
Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe and drop your thoughts in the comments below. As always, stay safe, stay aware, question everything, and remember, out there in those woods, something might be watching.